have an eating disorder. I'm winning.
I have anxiety.
I'm severely stressed.
It's almost never this obvious.
The signs of mental illness are often hard to spot.
Especially in young people, as it is often seen as a sign of weakness.
Sometimes mental illness can be considered less important than a physical illness.
We're here to tell you that this is not the truth.
We know these illnesses can affect people in a way that others may not understand.
This short film aims to make people aware of the symptoms of mental illness so you can support people you care about and yourself.
Eating disorders are a range of conditions that affect someone physically, psychologically and socially. Eating disorders affect over 725,000 people in the UK. Although serious, eating disorders are treatable conditions and full recovery is possible. The sooner someone gets the treatment they need, the more likely they are to make a full recovery. People with eating disorders can be withdrawn and secretive. Many people gain a sense of power as they have the ability to control their food intake. They become manipulative, especially around meal times, can develop acid burns and sores on their hands from vomiting, as well as bad breath if they have developed bulimia. Lastly, they become more preoccupied with their food, weight and body image. Anybody can develop an eating disorder. Males and females, those who are skinny or plus size, anybody can develop an eating disorder. Eating disorders are complex and not everyone may experience the same symptoms. People respond differently to treatment and they have different recovery times. Some people can be affected by more than one type of eating disorder or find other symptoms during recovery. So, if you're worried about someone or yourself, there is no harm in asking and there is no shame in telling. May I be excused?
If you're finished.
Thanks.
People with anxiety can feel trapped in their own minds. Sometimes anxiety makes them scared. They worry about things that don't make any sense. An overactive imagination goes into overdrive when friends ask them to go out with them. They imagine the worst possible situations, like people will judge them or even hate them. The worst part is, sometimes they know their fears are irrational, and yet their mind refuses to let go of them. As a defence mechanism, they may shut themselves away from people around them in order to stop themselves panicking in situations. Sometimes they can't sleep. The scary thoughts that float around in their head are hard to shut off. The panic attacks that they get when worrying thoughts swell inside their mind are nightmarish. They feel sick, shaky and dizzy, and they can't breathe. They feel like they've lost control. With the advice from organisations and the unconditional love from the people close to them, the anxious thoughts in people's minds can lessen. The most common action for people with anxiety is avoidance. Although avoiding a situation that makes you anxious provides you with quick relief, it will not fix the problem, and the anxiety returns next time they're faced with a social situation. My advice is to just talk to someone about your fears, because there's no harm in asking, there's no shame in telling.
Why are you so anxious, Holly? Are you trembling, Holly?
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
Scared?
You're such a shut-in.
What's wrong?
Panic, 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 panic.
The body is designed to experience stress and react to it. Stress can be a good thing to keep you alert, but if you have increased levels of stress for a long period of time, then it becomes a problem. Severe stress disorder is stress that continues without relief, and it can be very debilitating. Severe stress can lead to physical symptoms including headaches, upset stomach, high blood pressure, chest pain, and insomnia. Emotional symptoms can include becoming easily frustrated and agitated, feeling overwhelmed, the feeling of losing control, having difficulty relaxing, low self-esteem and loneliness. The health and safety executives say around 10.4 million working days are lost each year due to stress, depression or anxiety. There's no harm in asking, there's no shame in telling.
The symptoms of depression can be complex and vary wildly between people, but as a general rule, if you are depressed, you feel sad, hopeless, and lose interest in the things you used to enjoy. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness. It affects how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. You may have trouble doing normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes you feel as if life isn't worth living. Those suffering can often get tearful, irritable, and intolerant others. They can find it difficult to make decisions and have suicidal thoughts. Self-harming is a symptom of depression, but it is not exclusive to depression. All mental disorders can develop self-harm. It could be hard to distinguish the difference between grief and depression, as they share many of the same characteristics, but there are many important differences between them. Grief is an entirely natural response to loss, while depression is an illness. Depression can come gradually, so it can be difficult to notice that something's wrong. Many people continue to try and cope with their symptoms without realising they are ill, so it can take a friend or a family member to suggest something is wrong. Lastly, those suffering from depression have a massive lack in motivation. They can start to fall behind at work or in school. They can also start to take part in less social interactions and can start having troubles with their home lives. There's no harm in asking and there's no shame in telling.
That was just so cute.
Yeah. Who cares about some guy?
Okay, bye guys.
Bye. Bye.
What mental illness do you have?
Paranoid schizophrenia.
What is paranoid schizophrenia?
I often have delusions that people are plotting against me or people I love.
Are you embarrassed to talk about your mental illness?
In public, yeah.
Do you know where to go for support?
Apart from small organisations, I always go to my specialists if I need any help.
Do your friends understand and support you?
My friends that do know are constantly trying to help and support me. So,
If you have one tip to give to people to help cope with a mental illness, what would it be?
well, if you feel like it's getting worse, it's probably the opposite. And if you feel low, it's best consulting specialists or family before you do anything you regret.
There's no harm in asking.
There's no shame in telling.